What do an FBI raid, a software algorithm, and your prospective buyer's current rent payment all have in common? Well, it's a big real estate antitrust case. And good news is it has nothing to do with your commissions for a change. But it does involve what I like to call the Skynet of real estate and this little company called RealPage. Now, if you've been following this show for the last year, you would be very familiar with these scumbags. Now, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite online news sources, which is called Breaking Points, and their correspondent, Matt Stoller, for putting this wonderful story on my radar. Breaking Points is a wonderfully balanced news show that you can find on YouTube, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's something I watch almost every day. So on June 4th, they ran a story from Matt Stoller about an FBI raid of a big corporate landlord over algorithmic price fixing. So Cortland Management, an Atlanta-based firm that rents out 85,000 units across the US, had their headquarters raided by the FBI last week. Now, this particular raid was part of a much bigger conspiracy orchestrated by software and consulting firm RealPage to increase rents nationwide by coordinating landlord pricing decisions and holding empty apartments off the market in order to shrink available supply. So right now, 81% of apartments located in Atlanta are owned by Cortland, and for the last several years have had their rental rates set via this RealPage software. And as a result of this, rents in the Atlanta metro area have grown by 80% since 2016. Yes, 80%. So you see how this happens is that RealPage goes into a market like Atlanta and they contract with all of the landlords in the area and share all of the pricing and inventory data available. And based on that data, generate rent amounts that all of these units should be set at. And what this does is it allows for all of the landlords in a market dominated by this RealPage algorithm to offer the same or similar rent based on the size and location of the apartment or home. So then when the time comes to raise the rents, the landlords can raise it by the same percentage across the board. So as a tenant, if you're looking for a cheaper place to live, you don't have any options because the rent is the same.
Why are you sitting on the ground?
This is where I live, little man.
And the real kicker of this is that they would tell apartments in multi-unit properties to keep certain units off the market so they weren't available in the active supply. And they would do this to help drive the overall rents of the units available up. So overall, in the aggregate, they would make more money for the landlords. And by the way, this is happening to some degree in markets all over the country right now. Heck, even here locally, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported last week that 26% of the homes in Fort Worth were owned by large corporations. And if you think these companies aren't using similar softwares to set these rent prices, then you need to think again. Now, the good news at least is it looks like they're cracking down on this as demonstrated by this most recent FBI raid. But what it doesn't mean is that this problem is going away. If anything, they're just going to get smarter about how they do this and avoid the scrutiny of the law, because that's what happens with everything, especially when it comes to big money. But the bigger takeaway from this, especially as real estate professionals, is that this is what happens when you rent. You have zero control in the cost of your housing. And whether it be a landlord, a big corporation, or a computer algorithm, someone or something else is determining what you have to pay to live. And even though right now the cost to own your home and the rates to obtain financing are at the most unaffordable levels in history, how is it possible to see this story and not understand that renting as a long-term solution is not affordable or sustainable either? Look, mortgage rates are going to fluctuate every single year. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. And home prices are going to continue to climb no matter what the rate environment. And it's true, right now it is cheaper to rent than it is to buy. But having absolutely no control over your housing cost and leaving it into the hands of someone else is not the answer either. You see, this algorithmic pricing trend is like how Netflix and Amazon know what you're shopping for and what you like. They're all using the same data. So they're going to know how much money you make and based on your zip code, what you'd be willing to spend. And then they use the algorithm to set those prices accordingly. Heck, even Wendy's, the burger chain, tried to float the idea of how to price their food based on this. They were going to use algorithmic pricing to adjust the pricing based on the time of day, the market, and what part of their menu that people like the most. And when they did this, people lost their minds and they canceled, at least for now. But this kind of algorithmic pricing is coming no matter what we do. And it's just a matter of time before it starts to take over everything, including your rent. So if you need another reason to help your buyers understand the importance of owning a home and not renting forever, well, here you go. This is the real antitrust case that actually matters, not the one related to your commissions. So share this with your network. Let them know about all the things that are conspiring against them to take home ownership away and urge them them to fight back by not letting this stuff happen. And the number one way to do this is to control your own housing expense before someone else does, and to start taking those first steps to becoming a homeowner, whether that's education, talking to a lender, or starting to shop for homes. Information is the key to alleviate the fear of buying. And your job is to arm them with this information so they know what the future might look like if they stay a renter. Because like I've always said, the best time to buy was yesterday, but the second best time to buy right now.